Hello everybody. As y'all see by the title, y'all already know what I'm gonna be discussing today, and y'all might hear my daughter and stuff like that in the background and whatever. I tried to post a video last time too, but it for whatever reason had copyright on there, and it's like, yo, I really hate that and stuff like that. I don't even understand where the copyright was coming from, but yeah, you guys, y'all see by the title what I'm talking about today. Y'all see where I am, so and I apologize if the lighting is a little dark. I'm in my kitchen, um, and right now it's a little dark. But yeah, I'm about to be going ahead and putting some dishes away. We just had dinner and stuff like that, so I'm gonna go ahead and clear the dishwasher and stuff like that, you guys. But like, comment, subscribe, comment your thoughts down below as well. Yeah, my hair wrapped, it's looking a little crazy. The little bang pieces, baby hair, or whatever you want to call it, like, is looking kind of crazy. It was done earlier, but yeah, now it's I done laid down and everything too, woke up, and I don't use hard products and stuff like that on my hair, so. But yeah, you guys, I'm gonna be talking about like anxiety and stuff like that, especially this time of year, depression and stuff, and tips and stuff like that, and how it affects people, different ways that people may not know how it affects you. Um, some of this is from experience, for some of this is from just reading and stuff like that. Most of this is based off experience, you guys. For myself and everything too. My husband was gonna burn these beans up. I guess he forgot they was simmering, so luckily they was on the simmer aisle. But yeah, my husband, he like to cook and stuff like that. We got a little system that we do, and it just worked for us, y'all. I hope I'm not talking too low either. But um, yeah, you guys, I'm sorry. I know I probably should have did this video at a different time, but I know sometimes I get people saying, "Oh, like just the whole sitting down in the video all the time." So I'm trying to do something. I'm doing this. I had to do the kitchen. So I was like, let me go ahead and do this before I go ahead and cause once I get into like my inventory and stuff, like doing that and like promoting my stuff and stuff like that, it's hard for me to do videos while doing that too, you guys. Um, but hold on. Hold on, you guys. So you guys, so yeah, I'm just like, I'm gonna hold the phone, then I'm like, this whole little copyright with this music and stuff. So yeah, you guys, this video based off of, like, and I'm not gonna mention, but I had a, like, discussion. I'm still just putting a few dishes away, you guys, and right now ain't no real quiet part in the house. Jay sleep right now. Me and my daughter are downstairs, and she's, in her playpen and stuff. So it's really never a quiet part, y'all, of the house. So, bear with me if it's any noise and stuff like that. But yeah, you guys, I'm making this video basically, and I'm sorry if I'm all over too, y'all. I'm gonna try to stay focused in the camera, and like I said, y'all might hear my daughter in the background, or if I didn't say that, y'all might hear her in the background, and I'm gonna just try to speak a little bit louder, y'all. So this video is based off, yeah, everybody that knows right now knows that when it's cold and stuff like that, that genuinely brings like depression, seasonal depression and stuff like that. You're not really getting out, lack of sun and stuff like that, and just not for everybody obviously, but a lot of people suffer from seasonal depression and anxiety and stuff, and some people just have depression and anxiety and everything. Seasonal meaning something like seasonal allergies, happens occasionally. Seasonal, um it may start around fall time and linger through to like springtime and stuff like that, and when it warms up, you notice you start feeling better. That's sometimes, and that can happen every year. Some people take medicine for it. Some people start off with seasonal depression, and depending on how their symptoms are, or if they get help for it, it can manifest itself, like if people have anxiety attacks or whatever. All right, you guys. So yeah, I just had to adjust my daughter little radio thing, her little laptop and stuff that she watch TV on or whatever. But yeah, you guys. So because I sometimes can't concentrate when there's too much noise going on or whatever, you guys. But yeah, I just was like, okay, I'm gonna make this video and stuff like that. For people who experience that or don't know how to cope with that. I recently, just to open up, recently just, lately, just actually lately, been going through, just a few, experiencing, mine's is actually depression and anxiety because I suffer from both. I've been suffering from it for years, for about at least 10 years now. Maybe, yeah, about 10ish. And I learned to manage with it. Obviously, the anxiety attacks and everything too. I've learned to manage with it. I'm a person that's naturally hype. Very hard to sit down. I don't really sit down very much. So, you know, versus a person that may relax a little bit. I'm not really the most relaxed person. I'm more of a person that like to get my work done first, play later. Even if I'm working all day, if it's in the house and stuff like that. I've slowed down on the actual work life, a 9 to 5 work. I've switched that in for being part-time student, going back to school, managing a small business, as well as I am a mom full-time and I'm at home. I'm a wife. But so you can imagine just changing paces for me, a person that is used to working 80 plus hours a week, 60 hours. I did eventually gradually slow it down over time, the last few years of me working. I worked in the healthcare field, so that's a stressful job as well, especially through COVID, especially, when it's short. That is a demanding job. I worked in a nursing home. And just thinking about it as always bring back depressing thoughts for me. I'm happy I left. I hope I don't ever have to open that door again. I'm gonna keep my certificate active. That's a smart thing to do. But I really hope that I don't have to open that door again. It brought too many negative feelings up. Just the atmosphere, the environment is just not obviously not cheery. I'm a person, like I said, that's not already hype. I need like a cheery environment. I don't, I'm a person that I'm hype. I can relax and stuff like that. I've learned to relax at home. Like since I've been out of the work field, I've learned to relax. And I've been out for maybe 7 months now. So this year I decided to stop working. Due to circumstances at home, which kind of led me to it. But my ultimate decision was, yeah, let me just take a break. This is a sign telling me I needed to take a break. Just things, circumstances, like I said, life events, things that's at home also played effect and matter and effect in that. Um, and so you guys, just over these last 7 months, I have been experiencing. It's been a lot of change for me. So with change, sometimes brings anxiety that or just unsure, uncertainty. Um, not so. That's what it's been. Insecure also, if anybody didn't know, which I kind of just found out that it just means unsure, uncertain, pretty much. So if somebody ever call you insecure, don't look at it as necessarily a bad thing. It just means you're unsure about something. Um, uncertain. You don't know. It's a fear. Like it may be a fear. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like is an example. So it just brought, like I said, anxiety. Like going back to school after 10 plus years. Being a mom. Like being a mom and knowing that somebody obviously looks up to me. I'm obligated to do things that I didn't have to. If I wanted to, it was more of a choice before. Now I have to. I want to be a good example for my daughter. So, brings a lot of pressure on being a parent. Obviously be already being a spouse, but just being a parent, having goals and stuff that you're trying to work towards, and just actually seeing them through, walking them through, seeing them through, and everything, you guys. And like I said, I had a lot of things that I'm changing over the, so with me already being a naturally hype person, and I'm also a person that doesn't really take well to change like that. I'm learning. So, I'm learning to do that. And, it's not easy. I'm sure other people can relate. Especially when it's something worth it. You got to put your hard work into it. Like I said, school, changing my career, or, work force, work field and stuff like that. It's not easy. I'm leaving a field that the hours, the schedule is flexible and stuff like that. So, it can make for a comfortable feel. Like, you don't have to necessarily it's always work. You can, as long as you keep a pretty, you're not bouncing around like crazy, which ended up happening to me because I was getting burnt out and tired. So I would, eventually, like the last place I stayed, um, I ended up leaving because, transportation issues. My car ended up going down. It wasn't going to be able to be fixed, within a timely manner. It was just other issues pertaining to that car that wasn't going to make it to where I can safely drive it and stuff like that, safely and stuff like that on the road. So, I pretty much, made the decision and with that and the job, it just pretty much was going to come to a point where they probably was going to let me go anyways because of attendance kind of issue thing. So, I just pretty much looked at that like, I knew I was done anyways. My mind was already gone. I was done with the healthcare field. I didn't care. The money wasn't keeping me anymore. At this point, I had went down to per diem anyways. I went from part time. I believe I was part time, but I would pick up full time hours to just part time couple days. Like after I had my baby, I just really started to get a little, first it was how they thought they were gonna do me while I was pregnant. Anyways, I worked up to my last 2 weeks before I was due. I had got induced 3 weeks before my due date, and don't ask me these exact dates, y'all. My memory already be all over the place. So don't ask me the exact dates. My daughter was born February 18th, 2024. So if y'all want to do the math of all these things, then y'all go ahead. But yeah, at 1:32 in the afternoon to be exact. But yeah, so like I was done. Like I already knew like I'm not gonna be that mom that's gonna be sitting up here working crazy, crazy, crazy. And if so, it's gonna be a job that I love. So when I do come home, I'm more enjoyable. This job was making me miserable, the healthcare field. It was nothing enjoyable about it. I was coming home exhausted. I'm already not really working like that because I don't want to be there. I just working enough just to keep a little change coming in, stuff like that. And I was already kind of, I already had my had Domestic XL up, like I had started that before I got pregnant. So, I really wanted to push more for that. The healthcare really was bringing a lot of depression to me, making me more just not anxious necessarily, but more agitated, uptight, like more, like bitter, miserable, like I was miserable. It wasn't a happy moment. Me and my husband was feuding a lot more, like obviously we still bicker. We bicker sometimes with just about things. But, we was arguing a lot more. I just was not happy, stuff like that. Making, bringing work home, making it his problem basically because I felt like, I was working a lot, like I wanted to, help my husband because, he do a lot in the house. And, he do a lot for the house. And, I'm a woman that I don't like to sit back and just let, him do everything. And I'm still like that, so, but we managed to make it work. Like, I'm just still happy I started my small business and stuff, like started to bring it back up. That was one thing that made me a little bit better with my anxiety and stuff, you guys. That's just a little backlash of where I'm getting to, how I, got where I am, and just a little gist of, like, where some of my anxiety and stuff and depression stem from, and everybody else's story may be different, but that's just mine. Um, but yeah, you guys, having a child, obviously, I experienced like, some mothers, maybe most mothers, not all mothers, but, a good majority of mothers experience postpartum. You figure, like I said, I already had depression and anxiety, and stuff like that from about like 2021. That's when I realized and was diagnosed with it. Um, so, and everybody manage theirs different. Like I feel like if you got a method that's working for you and stuff like that, you feel like you healthy, you feel like you safe, go with that. If you want to comment what worked for you down in the comment section below, if you new here and stuff like that, subscribe to this channel. I talk about a lot of things, open, critical, things to get you thinking and stuff like that. I want to bring a little bit of that to this channel. Otherwise, I am known for out of the box dope press on nails. These are not my nails. These are some nails I just felt like throwing on because I don't usually make short nails, and I just wanted something short and cute that I could still manage with my daughter, but just plop them on and stuff like that. One already off, so that lets you know how that go. But they was like maybe $1.50, $2, so I was like, hey, that's pretty cheap and cute. My nails are not $2, so. But yeah, you guys, that's like I said, just a little backstory and stuff like that. So if that stuff, if you think you like this channel, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, subscribe, comment your thoughts down in the bottom section below. Like this video. If you also experience, like I said, anxiety or depression, or even if you're a mother and you have maybe experienced postpartum too, and how was yours? Obviously that's also different for everybody. Mine's, made me more of a homebody. I was already kind of a homebody, just because how things were going. And my depression, makes me, like, a lot of people, I don't want to do much. I don't, I'm doing just what I need to do. When I was younger, it used to affect me as in, like, physically, like, made me feel like, I physically would have panic attacks. When I was younger, like 20, yeah, like I think it was like 21 or something like that, 20 or 21, up until like maybe 22. And then, every now and then, I will still have a panic attack, but I know it, like, and then also, um, like, yeah, I know the signs basically and stuff like that. So, I'll, like, I know that, if it just, like, if some of the signs are, okay, you guys, you might experience your heart palpitations. Everybody's is different. Mine's don't, I can slow my rate back down before it gets into like a big huge attack. If anything, it just make me feel weighed down a little bit, like I feel um fatigued, sometimes, depending on, like, if you standing up and you having one, you feel like you're going to pass out and stuff. um you don't want to hyperventilate, because it's going to make it worse and stuff like that. You guys, try to take deep breaths. It's deep breaths, deep breaths. My husband, when I was younger and stuff like that, just used to lecture me with deep breaths and stuff. He also is a person that has experienced that. And this is good for, obviously, vets too, that, may be out there and stuff. Like, everybody does not take medicine. Some people, are supposed to take medicine and stuff like that for that. And everybody don't like that idea. The medicine sometimes make you feel like a zombie and make you feel sluggish, more fatigued than just being regularly fatigued. So I'm a person, like I said, that like to be hype. I like to be productive. I don't like being sluggish and stuff like that. So I like to be in control. And like, when I was like this, and then this part right here, like, I'm just speaking real raw truth. It may not be relatable to anybody else, but when I was smoked weed heavy and stuff like that, because when I was younger I smoked weed, like 20, like I said, around that age, that was how I coped, with that, was smoking weed heavy. I'm not really a drinker. I'll have a drink every now and then, but I babysit my drinks. I'll have a drink, that can, I'll have that drink for hours. Let it be a cup of coffee. Actually, I babysit coffee too sometimes, but it just depends on the day. It actually depends on the day with the drink too. But I'm more of the person that, if you give me a drink, you don't have to worry about me drinking your whole bottle. If you got a bottle there, it's gonna sit there. I babysit my drink. You're gonna, like, oh, is that the same drink? Yes, it is. Like, I don't really drink that much, you guys. So that's that. And then I'm sorry, this came last second, so if I'm saying a lot, I'm trying to focus in. I'm trying to make sure my daughter don't hear me, because if she hear me, she gonna start yelling, y'all. She gonna start crying. She a lap baby, so she like to be held. So that's why I'm doing that, and I'm just trying to, this is all off the top of my head, y'all. I didn't write this down, of course. This is just tips and stuff and things that I'm telling y'all. So that was how I treated my anxiety and depression. Then, I did try the medicine and stuff, but once I found out it makes me feel sluggish and fatigued, I don't like that feeling. So I, started, smoking weed. The weed seemed to ease it, and that's what I did for years, to treat it and stuff like that or whatever, for years. Um, So, that's what I did. But then, it just became more than that, especially once I had my daughter. I wanted to find other ways to help me manage it. I started to have mother's guilt. And, like I can't keep, that was my young days partying. I used to feel good, it did numb it. And numb my thoughts, those, constant thoughts that add and trigger to my, I'm a person that overthink. I'm always thinking or, like constantly thinking as well. So it would calm me down in a way that, like the medicine I was supposed to be taking, which was sertraline, it would calm me down in those ways without all the extra fatigue. All the, you get, high obviously, but, anybody that smokes weed knows what it does to you. CBD, and stuff like that. So, you guys, and like I said, eventually I learned that, that's not all what I want to do. I'm a mom now. I got to do different things. I can't just sit there and smoke weed all day to treat my anxiety and stuff like that. So, I decided like now I'm working out a little bit, just bonding, of course, bonding more with my daughter. When when you do smoke weed all day, a person, like I said, coming from smoking and just like we was free. Me and my husband was free. We had kids, as y'all see, like a little later. I'm 33 now. My daughter will be 2 in February. I had her at 31. So, for some people that's a little later. Like some people, it just depends on, where you grew up, who you're around and stuff like that. It depends on the environment. When I was younger, people was having babies a lot as teenagers and stuff. It may not be so much more now, but that was very prone when I was a teenager. When I was like a teenager and stuff, it was a lot of teenagers having babies and stuff like that. Now it seems like it's pretty common and it's okay for people in their 30s to, be just having their first baby and stuff like that. This is our first and only baby for me and my husband, guys, by the way. And he is 37 and I just turned 33 in October. Well, not just, but in October I turned 33. He'll be 38 in January. So yes, and this is, like I said, both our first baby. No babies before, no, you know none of that before. So we didn't think we was having kids. And it was of course a big adjustment. So like I said, I experienced postpartum depression, of course, because I had to, for a person that's used to being go 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 fast, like fast paced, always working, always, only sleeping like 3-4 hours a day. It went from I'm still probably sleeping 3 or 4 hours a day, because now I had a newborn, but now I'm in the house. I am in the house. I'm stuck with my thoughts. So for a person that has depression, like that's, like I might as well be in hell. Not literally, you guys, in a sense, not literally, but I'm just saying, that's how I felt, for a person that was suffering from postpartum depression. And I believed it was real. I knew that I was, everything about, yeah, she in there talking, y'all. Everything about my own postpartum, everything about my pregnancy, like my pregnancy was good and stuff like that. My delivery to me was great, it was beautiful to me. And like I had pain obviously and stuff like that, but to me I took it. And I was up and walking within like maybe an hour after. I was, they got me cleaned up, of course, and stuff like that. And you know after everything was good and stuff like that, they wanted me to wait, but I wanted to get up. That's just how I am. I'm kind of hard-headed a little bit, y'all. Just a little hard-headed. My daughter, yeah, she must hear me, but she in there talking, y'all. But yes, so I feel like I'm all over the place, but and I feel like it's a lot of information here too, y'all. But yeah, just you know, so basically I'm telling y'all, like, from just different points of just anxiety and depression, just, giving y'all examples of, times and stuff like that. So yes, you guys, obviously, it does not go away. It's something that, seasonal. They say seasonal can go away, but I feel like seasonal turns into regular, especially for, people, like if they don't know what it is at first, and if they have panic attacks with it too. Sometimes panic attacks make you feel like it can manifest and make you feel like you having a heart attack, so, or a stroke. Sometimes it feels like that, and, make people, hyperventilate. It make you panic. You having a panic attack. You feel these symptoms. You don't know where it's coming from. So, it makes you feel like that. It's like, you know, So for some people it triggers it, and like it triggers and it keeps going. I know, I have had friends that, I've had that, like when people feel like, I don't know, I don't know where I just got anxiety. You probably been having it, or in a manifest difference, and and it manifests itself different. So to me, the best way to handle and manage that, and the best way that's free, some people don't agree with therapists. I think that, that's your choice. Like, to me, I feel like it, take your deep breaths. The therapist gonna tell you everything that you kind of already know inside. Is the anxiety is in your head. It be in your head. It comes from overthinking. It comes from stress. It comes from lack of sleep. It comes from, the problems and anxiety that you may fear, like, your problems that you may have in life, those bills that won't stop coming, the kids, if it's just you doing it, or your school, work. That's where this anxiety and stress and depression is coming from. And like when you're younger, sometimes it's easier to manage that. Like it doesn't come at a certain age. It's not a certain age for you to start having it. Children can have anxiety and depression too. I did not know that one, until I start, but yes, kids can have it too. And it's something that you definitely want to, know about. If you didn't know about, it's something to know about. And if you feel yourself experiencing this, like shortness of breath, it's not always that. If you feel like, I feel dizzy, and you know that you're not really feeling any pain, you just feel more lightheaded. And sometimes it comes from, like some people smoke weed and they may have panic attacks, from that too. So sometimes that's where it starts. Sometimes, like it trigger on after that, is what I mean. Like, people are literally, the psychological of, they're scared that, you know so they just, continue to have the anxiety attacks or the panic attacks, even if they're not smoking the weed. Some people, every time they smoke, they may have it and stuff like that. That wasn't the case with me. Like, I did trip out the first time I smoked. I ain't gonna hold you. Sure, yeah, I sure did. But like, like some people, but the turning point was, my husband. Like, his mom had passed, and that really was a lot for us all to handle. And that really became, my best friend, and stuff like that. My husband, he already smoked. He's a veteran, so you know. But yeah, you guys, it just, yeah, that's where it started, and stuff like that. When I was younger, is what I mean, and stuff. And it did help me over the years. I'm an advocate for that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I still think that it helped people. It do. It could be worse. Everybody have their drug of choice. So I'm one of those type of people. To each his own. If it's making you happy and it's not hurting nobody else, I don't care. People always gonna judge and have their opinions. But if it's not hurting anybody else, and it's not taken out of anybody else's pocket, then I don't care what nobody else got to say. And you shouldn't either. But to manage that, especially right now, like when you can't get out the house, you may be in the house and you're just depressed. When you're dealing with your thoughts and stuff, it may be hard, but set a routine or something. Like, set a routine or something that you may want to do, you guys. Like, if it's doing your hair, like, set a agenda, like a schedule. Do it. Like, don't procrastinate. The procrastination definitely is your best friend. It seems like, when you're depressed. I know it was mine's. Like when I was my most depressed, there was procrastination. There was hopelessness. There was lack of motivation, fatigue. I don't want to do nothing. And that is the time where you get in the mirror, and as cheesy and as corny as it may sound, get in the mirror and tell yourself that, you got this, and you're going to do this. And this is just temporarily. I know this looks so weird, like the little, but it's just like, yeah. It's like, pull back and stuff like that on the mirror or whatever. I am waiting for flat irons, y'all, because I had to get all that stuff, once I started wearing like weave and extensions again. Now I gotta, I had to get like flat irons again, and basically get back to current, like doing that stuff, and I've been lazy, so I ain't really styled it all the way like I wanted to. Like I said, first I'm waiting for the flat irons, and once I get that, I was gonna take this wig off, and I ain't gonna hold y'all a little big too. That's why I'm not really showing y'all all the way either how it be looking, and I like the headband with it, with that. But I'm gonna take it up, and I had it sewed down because I just can't get with the lace, y'all. I'm sorry, my skin is sensitive and stuff like that. When it comes to that, I feel like it's gonna tear my skin up right there. I already got psoriasis, and I know how the spritz used to do me and everything. Just self know, just wanted to throw that in there, y'all. Like it. So if it look like a little thick right here, it probably is. But I ain't done with it, y'all. I just kind of, it's on there right now. It's kind of on, so just bear with me. And yeah, I might thin out, this, the baby hairs a little bit more and stuff like that. But yeah, just was trying to hide that lace a little bit. I don't want no lace shown either though, because yeah, that's not cute either. But yeah, you guys. So all I can really definitely say, deep breaths. Put on some of your favorite music. If you like to dance, dance to some of your favorite songs. Get dressed up in the house, like stuff like that. Simple things like get dressed up in the house. It's just so many things, like when you just think about it, just having fun sometimes, like do something that is fun, like if you just sitting there, you bummed out, like I feel ugly, go ahead and dress up. I don't care if it's just you putting on a pair of heels and standing in the mirror and telling yourself, I'm the ish. I got this, I'm bad. Just positive thoughts, and stuff like that. Sometimes, like when you're a mom, that's when it really means the most. Go soak your feet, take a bubble bath. If you like wine, have a glass of wine and stuff like that. You got free time, watch those shows, catch up and binge watch those shows and laugh, laugh, laugh. Get your favorite snacks. Just simple stuff like that, people take advantage of, like people that don't have kids take advantage of. And just, like for me as a mom, my me time is so important. Like, I don't feel like I have enough of it. And to me, that also adds into my depression because obviously before I was a mom, I had that time. But will I trade being a mom? No, I love being a mom. So to me, that's why y'all see me most of the time with an afro. I will never, trade being a mom. This is something that I feel like God, you know, brought from forth for me to do. And he see me doing this, and this is something I'm gonna do to the end until I can't do it anymore. And I love being a mom. I am very blessed and very happy for my daughter. She has grown me up, showed me so much already, so much about myself, so much about what I want to do, what I still want to do, and what I can do. When I was giving up on myself, she showed me that I still got this and I can do it. And I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to, my nose looks so chunky, y'all, by the way, because it is fat, y'all. It look like it's getting fatter as I'm talking. But, yeah, it's just it, y'all. For real. Um, but yeah, you guys, that's pretty much it. Just be happy. Do what makes you happy, you guys. Especially if you're stuck in the house. Like I know it's hard, if you like to write, like poetry and stuff like that. Talk to a friend, like if you're a person that, like to have friends but you can't be close, stuff that y'all probably already know. Light a nice smelling candle. Do a puzzle. Bring out some of them old puzzles. Like technology is also overrated. AI, all this stuff. Bring out some of those old board games that was classical. Watch an old movie, like an old scary movie and stuff like that. Pull out some of those older movies and stuff. Want some of them childlike cartoons. Hey Arnold, Rugrats, SpongeBob, whatever it is for you. Like, whatever, like pull out some of those old things that just made you feel at your best point. Look at some old pictures, a scrapbook, start a scrapbook. Like there's so many things that you guys can do, like when you really think about it. Like you got some beads lying around the house, yarn lying around the house. Start that quilt that you said you wanted to start. Make that bracelet. Start that small business yourself, making those bracelets, candles, or whatever it is. Like, sell notebooks, like just like it's, start that book that you probably wanted to start that you've been procrastinating, telling yourself that one day you'll get to it. One day, write that rap. I don't know, just it's so many things, so many endless things that you could do that can help break you out of your depression. Yoga therapy is a good one. They have stress relief music, like on, YouTube if you don't have like Spotify or anything like that. don't have access to that kind of stuff, or you don't want to pay for the membership or whatever, just they have stress relief music, like I said, to just, if you can get to a quiet place in the house or whatever, just tune into that. Like I said, light that nice candle, have some tea, just take those deep breaths in your nose, exhale out your mouth, nice and slow. Hold it for try to hold it for 10, minutes. Like just, there you go. And like that right there, you guys, I feel like, will be an opening up for things. Start the YouTube channel that you wanted to start yourself. You see a lot of small YouTubers on here like me. Start the channel, if open up and talk to people. Maybe that's what you needed, was that ear. I know sometimes I like to come and vent to people. So if that's you, and stuff like that, if that's you, definitely subscribe to my channel and I'll subscribe back to you. But yeah, like that, sometimes it's very therapeutic too. Like, some people feel judged, like when they go to therapists, is what I was gonna say earlier. But like if they just have somebody they feel like they could relate to, like a platform or something that may be theirs, they could probably control, it makes them feel better, like somebody that really is listening, not somebody that's just getting paid on the clock, maybe telling you anything that's written down in their book and stuff like that, and they think they know you, but they really don't. Versus, people on the internet that, don't know you. They not paying, they are paying, it's kind of the same thing, like they're your mini therapists. They criticize you, your audience, you might as well get the therapy from them. And, you can, so it's just like, yes, you guys, that, that is just, some tips. If you guys, I know this video is long, but if you guys want a part 2, comment down below. Comment some of y'all tricks that have helped you guys with your anxiety, especially moms and stuff like that, when you're dealing with your children, the terrible tools. Like right now we're in that phase. My daughter's off the wall and I just cannot seem to, get the time to breathe. I feel like Tony Braxton right now with the song, like I got to breathe. Like I just feel like, I'm talking about, but just with life and just everything. Like, I just always on the go, you guys. I thought I was a person that, never got tired. And, yeah, I get tired. I do get tired. I realize I do get tired. And so, but yeah, you guys, thank you so much for watching. And, I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe. If you guys did not know either, if you made it this far in the video, go ahead and, check out I'm sorry, you guys, go ahead and check out my go ahead and check out my shop on eBay. And if you made it this far in this video, enjoy 10% off of your next order. I am still doing Cyber Week all the way up to Sunday, Sunday December 8th. So you guys, I am doing sales up to 50% off of baby items, like thrifting, baby items, jewelry right now, as well as nail sets, custom pressed nail sets and stuff like that. I have gift box bundles up there to go check out and stuff like that. So yeah, you guys, shoes and stuff like that, purses. So go ahead and check out it'll be in the description as well as the comment section below. Definitely, the link will definitely be in the comment section below. If not, go ahead and check it out, and also enter the code that'll also be in the description for 10% off if you made it this far. Or I might actually put the code at the end of this video, because then that way I'll know who has made it this far in the video. But if you guys want to check out something, last minute Christmas gifts and stuff like that, if you guys want that gift wrap too, make sure to comment in the I usually do gift wrap my stuff anyways, but if you want like a special wrapping and stuff like that, or like depending on how much the order is, if you guys want like if you're getting jewelry or something like that, I have bracelets and stuff up there. And if you get one of those, you could pick your choice of like red wrapping paper, like red, white, or green, because Christmas is coming up and it'll come in a Christmas envelope. So all right, you guys, yes, that is all. Like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you guys try to stay stress free and anxiety free in this winter, and stay cozy.